That was the silliest intro. A friend does it on his YouTube. I wanted to try it. That left me out of breath. Let's start again. Friends, welcome back to another Sunday service with Red Deer Lake United Church. My name is Nick. I am the minister here at Red Deer Lake United Church, and we are an affirming church that gratefully gathers on Treaty 7 land, and we are all about finding in the way of Jesus this new way of being human and alive in this world. This way connected to God, each other, and ourselves. This way of life full of wonder and truth, beauty and peace. This way of life that's all about transforming this world into the one that God wants it to be. A world where everyone has enough and everyone has a place. Yeah, that is what we are all about. That is who we are. And we are so stoked. I am so stoked that you are here. Yeah, you. I'm so glad that you are here. So thank you for taking time to be with us. And may you know that you, just as you are. Yeah, and sidebar, we mean that, by the way. Yeah, that you, just as you are. Yeah, we're not blowing smoke up you. We believe that. We believe that. We mean that. Because you, just as you are, by being here, you do something to us. You give us a story that we need to hear. You give us perspective that we need to see. You expand our community and help us see just how beautiful and amazing our world and life and God actually is. Yeah, that's why we love being affirming. That's why we celebrate diversity, because we know that through you and through each other, we can move deeper into God and deeper into life. Yeah, so we mean it when we say you're welcome just as you are, that you are welcome, wanted, and accepted. So thank you for being here. We're glad that you are here. And we're going to just jump right into things because I don't know about you, but I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to see where this new year is going to take us. And we've got some stuff to talk about. We've got some stuff to explore. And so let's just jump right into it. And we're going to start with a song, and then we're going to start with a prayer. We're going to do that sequence that we always do. But we're going to start with a song and a prayer. And I want you, more than I want you to sing, I want you to listen. I want you to listen to these words. Because these words speak of a really beautiful and powerful, transformative, and liberating truth. That you, yeah, you, even you in the back, that you are a child of God. And by that phrase, we mean that you are beloved. That you are full of love and light and life, that you are full of worth and dignity, that you have a place here, that you have a role here. That no matter what anybody else may say, that you are a child of God, that you are full of that divine spark. And that's what this song is all about. It's about claiming that, about leaning into that truth and letting that change us from the inside out. So I invite you to listen. I invite you to sing along. And let this song and this prayer help you own that truth and be here, knowing that God is with us, knowing that we are in some weird, mystical, magical way we are connected, and God's going to do their thing. So my friends, as we step into our time together, as always, may peace be with you.
a child of God. I am a child of God.
So, my friends, let's pray. I invite you to bow your head, close your eyes, do whatever you do when you talk to God, and let's pray together. So, my friends, so God, help us to believe that we are children of God, that we are made in the divine image, that we are full of that sacred light, life, and love, that we just by existing are full of love and dignity and worth. Yeah. Yeah, help us to believe that, help us to own that, help us to live like that. Yeah. Yeah, help us to live like that. And as we show up today for church, let that truth go to work. Let that help us be here knowing that we belong here. And may that kind of help transform us from the inside out, especially those of us who are showing up tired, worn out, maybe being told something different. Yeah, may that truth go to work and just rewire us, transform us, and help us leave here being different. And so, God, as we show up for church, help us to connect with you, help us to connect with each other, and help us be here. May your spirit go to work. And so, God, we turn ourselves in this time over to you, and we ask this in the liberating and beautiful name of Christ by saying together, Amen. So last week, I took Walter out for a walk, and we were walking along the river, and I decided to check in with a friend. So we're talking on the phone, had my ear potty things in. I am old. My ear potty things? What is that? I have my AirPods in, my headphones in. Anyways, we were talking as we walked. It was beautiful outside. And we ended up talking about the things that we each do to keep us going. We had a conversation about the things that we do, the practices we have, the intentions we set that help us keep our heads, our noses above water. That as we encounter just the day-to-day grind, as we experience the existential crises and dread that we're just in the thick of, we talked about the things we do that keep us going in the right direction, that keep us filled up with the right kind of energy and spirit. Those things that we do that help us avoid despair and exhaustion and dread and death, all those things that pull us out of life. And we talked about a lot. We named a lot of things. We talked about gratitude. We talked about family and relationships. We talked about rest. We talked about exercise and reconnecting with our bodies. We talked about therapy. And it was really good just to kind of realize, like, wow, we do a lot. There's a lot of really good things that we can do to keep our heads up, to be filled up. And as we were talking about this, my friend Chris, you've met him, he named, it's interesting that like everything that we named, all of it is an act of love. And it was such a simple observation, but such a profound observation. It made me kind of go like, oh man, yeah. We kind of walked in silence for a bit, just digesting that, marinating in that truth. Because he was right. Everything that we mentioned, exercise, gratitude, therapy, rest, they are all practices of love. And in our tradition, love is it is the most powerful thing we can ever tap into. That's why we say God is love. Because love, more than anything else, as Paul writes, it abides, it endures, it mends, it makes wholes, it reconciles, it makes new. Love is the one thing that we can tap into that helps us keep going, that fills us up, that lets us know everything is going to be okay, even though everything may not be all right. And today for our spiritual practice, we're going to lean into that truth. We're going to have a spiritual practice of just leaning into love. And I called this a what did I call it? A meditation for when everything falls apart. Because I don't know about you, but maybe you're feeling like that these days. Like everything is just like really precarious. Like even after we have one good day, the next day is not so great, and it's always this kind of balancing act. And we need something. We need something to direct us, to focus us, to fill us up. And when we're in those places, when we need that, love is a thing that we should always, always, always turn to, because love is the one thing, the most powerful thing that can fill us up and keep us going in the right direction. And so we have a meditation. All you have to do is just sit. All you have to do is just listen and let the words go to work. And so as we enter into this next 4 minutes, put your feet on the ground. Let this meditation just wash over you, and let it help you lean into love. And let that love go to work, filling you up, holding you together, guiding you forward. And may that love let you know that you're not alone, that you are okay, that everything might be all right. And you've got this. Keep going, because you are in love, you are surrounded love, and you are loved. And so my friends, as we head into this meditation, may grace and peace be with you.
These times are getting the best of me. My mind, my soul, my tired body, my whole being is off. I keep looking for something familiar, something foundational, something solid that makes me feel secure. I think of you and search for a sermon, verse, or song, anything that used to soothe my troubles, feed my soul, enliven my spirit, keep me going. I want a message from a resistant prophet. I want an invitation to leave work and come see miracles. I want to know you love and protect me. I long to feel safe. Just come up strong around me. Hold me. You know, I used to think of you differently. I was so sure, so certain I had it all figured out. But then I experienced loss and emptiness and inhumanity and insanity, and realized I had to grow up. I left all that I knew to know you, the you beyond the metaphors, the eternal, true God. You are more than I expected. Nothing and no one on earth is like you. There isn't anything that measures up to your love. It never loses, and it never leaves. You are the living will. You are the enduring love. You are the speaking word. You are the stabilizing matter, the ground of all being. Reassure us in our time of need, God. Surround us and secure us in your love. There isn't anything that measures up to your love. It never loses, and it never leaves.
Yeah. Yeah. That was good, wasn't it? Yeah. Sometimes we need to be encouraged to tap into love, to root and ground ourselves in love. And so I hope this did it for you. And I hope this encourages you to, keep that practice in mind. Whether it's going back to this video again and again and again, or developing your own practice that does that. But I hope it affirms the importance of taking time out each and every day to root ourselves in love. Knowing that love is the one thing we always need to come back to, because that's where life is. That is where it's at. I'm curious, though, before we jump into what's next, I'm curious what stuck out to you from this meditation. Was there a line? Was there an image? Was there a moment when it just went poof, and everything kind of shifted? It all started to click. It made sense. For me, it was this line. Let me see if I can find it here. Where is it? No, this way. No, oh my God, yeah, this one. This one. The part of the meditation that said, you are the stabilizing matter. Oh, you are the stabilizing matter. You are the ground of all being. Oh, I love that. Oh my God. Like, it's still going to work. It's still happening. I love that because it reminds us that sometimes, maybe all the time, that when we connect with God, when we root ourselves in love, that doesn't mean everything's suddenly going to be okay. But what it does mean is that we'll find a sense of stability, of rootedness, of groundedness. This thing that can give us a foundation to stand on when everything else is shaky and falling apart. Because sometimes that's all we need. We need to know that we've got a secure footing. We need to know that we're okay, that we're being held up. Oh, and that line, like, you are the stabilizing matter. Oh, what a beautiful way to talk about God. I love it. I love it. So good. So let me know in the comments what part stood out for you, what phrase, word, or image. I'd love to see how this worked for you. So do that, and we're going to head into our scripture reading. And today for our scripture reading, we're doing something a little bit different. Maybe it might be new to you. I don't know. But it's going to be good. I promise. Pinky swear. This is what we're going to do. We're going to read the story that I'm going to preach on in a bit. But then we're going to listen to a song. And I don't really want you to pay attention to the song as much as I want you to spend some time thinking about the story. I don't want you to just be like, cool story, bro, and then move into listening to the song. I would rather have the song create space for you to spend time with the story. Because it is a seemingly really simple story. It is a popular story. It's one that most of you have probably heard before. And because it's those things, I want to use this song to provide a space where we can try to hear the story for the first time. So it can come to life, so it can do its thing and speak to us. So I'm going to read the story, and then we're going to have a song, and let's let this story do its thing. Let's let it speak to us to where we are at today, and then we'll unpack a few things in it. So my friends, a reading from the Gospel according to Mark. So after John the Baptist was arrested, Jesus came into Galilee announcing God's good news. He said, "Now is the time. Here comes God's kingdom. Change your hearts and lives and trust this good news." As Jesus passed along the Galilee Sea, he saw two brothers, Simon and Andrew, throwing fishing nets into the sea, for they were fishermen. "Come, follow me," he said, "and I'll show you how to fish for people." Right away they left their nets and they followed him. After going a little farther, he saw James and John, Zebedee's sons, in their boats repairing the fishing nets. At that very moment he called them. They followed him, leaving their father Zebedee in the boat with the hired workers. Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church.
Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring the little fishes, bring the sharks, bring 'em from the brightness, bring 'em from the dark. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em from the caverns, bring 'em from the heights, bring 'em from the shadows, stand them in the light. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em out of Parda, bring 'em out of store, bring 'em out of hiding, lay them at my door. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, 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 bring 'em all, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring the unforgiven, bring the unredeemed, bring the lost and nameless, let them all be seen. Bring them out of exile, bring them out of sleep, bring them to the portal, lay them at my feet. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, 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 all in, bring them 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 all into my heart.
All right, friends, so we spent some time sitting with that passage. We spent some time in conversation with it. We've listened to what the Spirit might be saying to us through it. And now, before I offer you what I heard, before I get into some of the things that the Spirit was saying to me, I'm really curious what it was saying to you. What was she saying? Where was she leading you? Now, I'm not really interested in how you would preach this passage. I'm more interested in what rose up within you. What questions, what curiosities, what intersections did it draw you into? What bits of wisdom did it offer you? What are you having to rumble with now that you've sat with it? So you can put those in the comment section or send me an email. I would be really interested in hearing from you. And I think other people would be too. Because that's kind of the whole point of why we read these passages in church. It doesn't make much sense to me, to be honest, why we gather in a room, we all face a pulpit, and we want to hear from one person what God told them about this passage. Because while beautiful things can happen with that, obviously I do it for a living, I kind of believe in that. But it's kind of weird to me that we don't make more opportunities to unpack these things together. It's kind of weird to me that we don't listen to each other about what they thought of this passage and what they heard and what they would do with it. Because one of the beautiful things about reading these things in community is that we get to learn from each other. That certain people can open up certain windows that other people can't, and they can let some fresh air in. They can rearrange the whole room that way. They can teach us something that we would never, ever be able to do on our own or hear on our own because our experience and our perspective just won't let us go that way. And so it's really important that we actually get vulnerable and courageous sometimes and share with each other about what this passage was saying. That's why we have those times on Sundays, a long time ago when we did church in person, where we would preach together. Because that actually allows us to hear a bigger, broader, more diverse, more beautiful version of what this story could do. That's why we keep doing it despite the emails we get protesting it, because there's something good and beautiful in gathering together and sharing what we think. And so please be brave, be courageous, put in the comments where this story took you, and maybe we'll do something fun with those later. But for now, because I got you here and because we have to do it this way, two things this story told me. And those two things are questions. I got two questions out of this story. And for me, I think these are questions that we have to ask ourselves every day. These are questions that we can keep in our pocket, that we can ask each and every day, and they can help draw us or keep us in this life that God is calling us to create and to have. This life that's all about being connected with each other, with God, with ourselves. This life that aligns ourselves with what God is doing in this world. And so I want to quickly go through those two questions today. So the first question, what can't wait? Yeah, the first question I think this story asks us is what can't wait? And for me, I got this question when I was sitting with that part of the story when Jesus goes up to the disciples and he says, "Follow me." Because here's the thing about those fishermen. They're not doing it because they enjoy it. This is millennia before fishing became a hobby. At this point, fishing was something you still do to survive. This was the family business. This was how they paid their bills and fed their families. This was serious and essential work. And yet Jesus comes up to them, sees them fishing, says, "Follow me." And Mark, the writer of the story, he's quite intentional, which is very telling. It's a detail we can pay attention to. He's quite intentional about telling us that the four brothers immediately dropped their nets and followed after him. They immediately did it. As soon as Jesus said, "Follow me," jump out of the boat, follow this guy. And let's just be clear. They're not going for a lunch break. They're not like, "Oh, let's go have a smoke and a coffee and then you can get back to work after I tell you about what God is doing in this world." No, Jesus is calling them to leave it all behind. This is a significant shift. This is a turn. This is a break. They're stepping out of what they knew and into something. Did I get that right? Yeah, because the word, I know what I did there. They're stepping out of what they knew and into something new. It's a terrible way to put it. They're stepping out of their old life and into a new life. Yeah, big things are going down. And as I sat with how that's just so bananas to me, and as I thought about the costs and the consequences and the risks of them doing that, of leaving it all behind and stepping out into something brand new and mysterious and risky and scary, the question that rose up for me was, what can't wait? What can't wait? What are those things in our lives that are happening? What are those little nudges? What are those little inklings of thoughts? What are those issues that are in us and around us that are calling us to leave everything behind, to stop what we are doing and pay attention to it, to follow after it, to give it some time and energy? What can't wait? And while this could be a story about the road of faith, about what it takes to step out into that, and I think that could preach, that would be beautiful. I think it's also a story about how God moves in our world, about how that Spirit speaks. And there are times when she does say, hey, psst, are you listening? Come and follow me. I think this is a story about those moments when we have to listen and pay attention and follow after it. About those things that can't wait, those things that deserve our attention. And now these could be a whole bunch of things. They could be any sort of things. Maybe this is a justice issue. Maybe this is God showing us the Black Lives Matter movement. Maybe this is God showing us that our indigenous communities in the North still don't have clean drinking water. Maybe this is something a bit more closer to your heart. Maybe it's domestic violence. Maybe it's climate change. It could be anything. And maybe that is what God is calling you towards. Saying, hey, come spend some time over here. Or maybe it's a relationship you're in. Maybe it's a little broken. Maybe it's just off and weird and awkward and hard. And it needs some energy. It needs some healing. It needs some love. Or maybe that's a career. Maybe it's this career in and it's just blah. It's not the fire it used to be. And maybe the Spirit is saying like, hey, there's still good stuff in here. Come follow me. Or maybe it's a wound. Maybe it's this thing you've been carrying and it's just still there. It's still festering. It's still angry and hurt and resentful. And the Spirit is saying like, hey, you got to pay attention to this. You got to spend some time here. Because the truth of the matter is when the Spirit calls us, when the divine energy, when God, when the source, whatever you call it, when that thing speaks, when that thing perks up and says, hey, come on over here, follow after me. Those are the things that often, usually all the time, they can't wait. Those are the things that can't wait. Because those are the things that are pulling us back as individuals, us back as a community, or us back as a world from the kind of existence, the kind of life that we actually could truly have. Yeah, I think we know this, right? We know those moments in our lives where we felt that rise up. We spent some time with it. And we've realized how everything changed because of it. Our lives deepened, wounds healed, fire was rekindled, relationships were mended, big and beautiful things happened because we recognized that, oh, this can't wait. I've actually got to stop what I'm doing. I've got to put all this on hold, and I've got to spend some time here. I've got to listen to this wound. I've got to redevote to my career. We've actually got to have some hard conversations. I've actually got to speak up. And now I know there will be consequences. I know there will be risks. I know there will be costs. But you know what? This can't wait. This is too important. Yeah, we know those things. We know them. And I think this story reminds us of the the importance of listening and the importance of stepping out, knowing that these things can't wait. And so the question kind of gets thrown back at you guys. What can't wait? What's going on in your life and your world that is calling for your attention? What do you need to step out into, despite the cost and the consequence? Where do you need to go? What can't wait? And so I encourage you to spend some time asking that question this week. Because we know that when you do step out, when you do give it your energy and attention, beautiful, amazing, and good things will happen that will be worth the risk and the cost. Yeah. So what can't wait? That's the first question that came out to me from this story. And I'm going to spend some time this week playing with that one because, God, I know I've got some things that can't wait. I know I've got some things that I've been ignoring and putting off that I really need to pay some attention to. And I'm sure we all do. I'm sure we all have got those things, especially in this life and world that we're in right now. So the second question that this story asked me, and I'm not really happy with how this question is phrased. Maybe you can give me a better phrasing, but let's roll with this. The second question, what's your intention? What is your intention? Again, this is a question that we can ask throughout our day that can help kind of steer us and point us in the right direction. And the question, what is your intention? It arose out of the part of the story where Jesus, he sees the disciples, the fishermen fishing, and he says, follow me, and I will make you fishers for people. I will make you fish for people. Now, there are all kinds of ways that people have played with that text, with that line. Some have like, oh, Jesus is being super clever here. He's a good marketer. He knows that these guys are fishermen, so he's going to speak their language and say, I'm going to make you fish for people. Cool. He very well might be doing that. He may have had it already loaded and was like, oh, that's a good line. I'm going to go find some fishermen to use it out for. And he went and found the fishermen, used it, and they followed him. He's like, yes, I'm so good. All those would work. But here's the thing for me when I think about that line. Because it is a really popular line. It's a famous line. It's one of those quintessential sayings of Jesus. You'll see it on all kinds of church banners and church bulletins and hymns, fishing for people. But here's the tension of this line. Here's why we have to be super careful with that line and how we hear it. Because all too easily, how we can read that is as followers of Christ, as the church, our job is to fish for people. Which means our job is to reel them in, is to bring them in here and catch them for God. And maybe you've heard it used that way. Oh, your job as a Christian, your job as a church, we've got to get people inside. We've got to get people in here and change their lives. We've got to bring them to God. And so we have all kinds of bait. We have all kinds of rods and reels. We fish in all kinds of ways to attract people into our church buildings or into our programs so that they can then hear about God, hear about Jesus, and follow after him. Like, we're guilty of that. We do that all the time as a church. I do that all the time. It's a really easy thing to fall into. And we do it thinking, well, this is exactly what Jesus called us to do. We're fishing for people. But here's the thing about that. It assumes that God needs us to talk to them. It assumes that these people already don't have God. It assumes that these people need to come into our church building to find the life that God opens up. And while those are all beautiful things that we could do to try to help people encounter the divine, it feels a bit too manipulative. It feels a bit too coercive. It feels too much like a bait and switch. It does not feel like something that extravagant and indiscriminate love does. I don't think God, being the God that Jesus shows us, would want us to try to trick and manipulate and catch people for the sake of what God is doing in this world. And so I don't think that's actually the way to read that story, to read that line. I don't think that's what Jesus was trying to do, was trying to get people to follow after him so they can go get more people. I don't think that's exactly his point. Well, that could be a beautiful outcome. I don't think he was saying it that way. Instead, what my dissertation supervisor taught me about this line, shout out to Bill Curvin, what I think Jesus is saying here is, come, follow me, and I will make you fisher for the sake of men. I will make you fish for the sake of people. Yeah, it changes everything, doesn't it? That little shift in reading it, fishing for people to fishing for the sake of people, changes everything. And while it certainly changes some things for how we think about church and how we go about being the church, it also has maybe even more important implications for how we go about our daily lives. Because it reminds us that what God ultimately cares about, it reminds us that where we find life as it was meant to be, where we find the joy of living, isn't from sharing our faith, but it's actually from living our faith. It comes from orienting our lives in a way where our ultimate concern, our ultimate priority, our main intention is the welfare of others, is making sure others are looked after, making sure others are seen and heard and taken care of and loved. That is where we find our lives. That's where we find life as it was meant to be. And so one of the questions that we can ask each and every day is, what's our intention? What am I trying to do here? Am I trying to win? Am I trying to be right? Am I trying to come out on top? Am I trying to get what I need? Or is it, I need to understand where this person is coming from? I need to make sure that they're heard, that I understand them, that I see them. I need to make sure that this action leads to the greatest result for the well-being of others. I need to make sure I'm doing the loving thing here, as hard as that might be. I need to make sure that I recognize their needs too. Yeah, you can see how it kind of changes how we go about our lives, can't you? Yeah, when we ask ourselves, what's my intention here? What's motivating me? Is it for the sake of them, or is it for the sake of something else? Yeah, and just asking ourselves that every single moment of every single day, just getting into the habit of that, it can do amazing things. It can change everything. Yeah, what's my intention? What's my intention? Yeah, so I encourage you to ask yourselves that as you go about the rest of your days and weeks. What am I trying to accomplish here? What's my main goal? Why am I going about it this way? How do I go about it this way? And in all we do, try to shift ourselves by living a life where we live for the sake of others. We make sure others are seen and heard and nourished and fed. Yeah, so those are my 2 questions. What can't wait? And what is your intention? And so if those resonate with you, if those are like, oh, yeah, I need to ask those questions, those would be helpful to me, spend some time with those. Or if those were kind of meaningless for you, if they didn't really do anything, spend some time with whatever the Spirit said to you when you were sitting with this story. Because the whole point is to sit with whatever we were given. That's our job. That's where the magic happens. And so I invite us all to be a bit vulnerable and courageous and lean into whatever we were given. To spend some time with it, knowing it's there. Whether it was the questions or something else, it's there that the magic happens. It's there that we can experience growth and transformation, healing and inspiration. It's there that we find life. So my friends, spend some time there. And as you do that, may grace and peace be with you.
I have a dream, a song to sing. makes it worth the while. Pushing through the darkness, still another mile. I believe in angels, something great in everything I see. I believe in angels. When I know the time is right for me, I'll cross the stream. I have a dream. I'll cross the stream. I have a dream. I have